Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Parkitect Disneyland. Today I'm going to start with the main street. This is going to take me quite a few episodes, so bear with me with this one. It is a highly detailed kind of thing that you have to do in Disneyland Park. I think every Disneyland that's a Magic Kingdom style park has a main street, and it's a very important part, and it's something that I really wanted to get right, and it took a lot of time. So I'm starting off here by making the pavilion at the very front of the park, just experimenting with some curved roof pieces and some umbrellas to get a round thing going on. It is blue for now, it does change to green later on. But this was the first thing I wanted to build just to kind of get it started. Now, the main streets in Disneyland, I've always kind of really liked the Disneyland main street and used it for references for building my own main streets, but it's not until you really actually look deeply in detail to these main street buildings when building something like a Disneyland that you realize actually how awesome they all are, and they are so well designed, and the way they all fit together is just brilliant. And I had a really good fun building this main street, although it did take a very long time, as I've said. But yeah, I mean, I have so much appreciation for what they do with the buildings. It's just even more than before now. So what I do is I use terra painting in grey just to mark out where everything kind of is going to go. That it's not solid, that is a very rough thing to do, just so I can see what's going to happen. Lay down some paths, always a good start, just so I can see where the buildings are going to go. And then it gets straight into building the first corner building. Now, I find corner buildings very difficult. I mean, I don't want them all to look the same. Now, I am using a Disney picture. There's actually this really cool poster of all the main street buildings, and I found that picture on, I think it was on Pinterest, but I love Pinterest. If you're ever looking for inspiration, get on there. So yeah, I found this poster and I just saw so many buildings on there, and I thought I need to use this for inspiration. And I've not tried to copy each building exact. I've tried to go for that really kind of Disney style. As I've said, I don't want to exactly recreate the Main Street buildings because I wouldn't get them 100% correct. So it's better that I do it in my own way, using those buildings as reference and for style. So this building is very similar to the one at Disneyland Paris, I believe. And I've just basically used that design and the style of that corner building to build. Now, as I said, I do find corner buildings really difficult. So as I go along through this main street, I do start really pulling my hair out for ideas for corner buildings on how to do them and how to make the roofs different and everything, but I get there in the end. So one little trick I like to do here is just put kind of pillars and beams along the fronts of the brickwork or the whatever wall you use, just to give it a different look and a different style. I think it really just breaks it up so it's not all brick. And I like to layer in other pieces into the beams just to give it more texture and a different color in there. So this Main Street building, I believe, was from Paris, and I do on the other side it's from Paris, and I think also in Florida. Now, I did use Florida and Paris as my main references, and I did also look at a little bit at California. I didn't really use Shanghai, Tokyo or Hong Kong very much, mainly because I couldn't really find many photos of Hong Kong, and Google Earth on Hong Kong Disneyland is terrible. The quality is really bad. And the same kind of goes with Tokyo. I couldn't really get... Well, Tokyo is actually enclosed. It's actually one of the only Disneylands that has their main street enclosed in this big glass roof. So I didn't really want to do that. And Shanghai doesn't actually have a Main Street USA. It has, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's something to do with Mickey Mouse. And it has like the Mickey Street, and that's a bit different. And it hasn't really got that American USA kind of theme going on with that one. It's very clever. It's a very nice main street. It has a lot of kind of musical influences and all sorts of different things. But I really wanted to stick to kind of like an American main street, and so that's why I've kind of looked more at Paris, Florida, and California. So I'm gonna do maybe about 4 buildings per episode with this main street. And as I've mentioned many times in other videos, what I do is never final, and I do actually go back and change things. I like to change colors, I like to lighten some colors, darken some colors, change some details. There is a building that I do later on in this video that does get a complete overhaul with details, as I always find new ways to do things as I'm building, and maybe it takes me to build another building to realize that, oh, I could do this to the other building that I did. So I always go back and forward and change little bits. I'm not going to post screenshots of this main street yet, because I've actually finished the whole main street at this time. I don't want to give too much away. I want to show you guys each episode before I show you the whole thing, just so you can see the progress. If I was to show you a screenshot, you would see everything that I did behind it and everything then next to it and around it and the floor. And I just want to leave that to show you in video. So here I am doing what I said, just changing some colours up, changing the front of this building. And then I do this red path. Now I think that is something that they use in Florida, but not seen it at any other Disneys. Maybe at California. I'm actually very confused now with which Disneys I've looked at and which ones I haven't, and which has which. I know that one of them has these red paths around it and one of them doesn't. So I wanted to go for the red path one. And so now I'm doing the other corner building on the other side. I'm actually using, when I'm building buildings, I try and use as many in-game pieces as I can before going on to mods, just because some of them are easier to snap into place, and it just makes building time a bit actually easier and a bit quicker. And then when I want to step into using mods, I just go straight over into using those pieces from the sets to just fill in the bits I couldn't do with the bits from the in-game. So again here, doing my little pillar thing, just to create patterns and shapes, just to make it more interesting. So some of the colours I use in these buildings, I have taken from the Main Street reference I'm using, and sometimes they do come across as very bright and quite abrasive, but once the whole street is completely done together, those colours really do actually fit really well. So there is a building I do with that is like bright orange, red hot. You'll see it soon that I do it in this episode, and you might think, wow, that is so dark and bright and like almost looks like a sun fire color, and once the whole thing's done, it really does actually look quite good. And it's good to vary the colors in your main street, but keep them in a way that they tie into each and every building. So I've just used umbrellas for the roof here. I used the round ones to make the round dome, and then I've used the square ones to do the rest of the roof there. I quite like the little dark texture they have in the middle, and I think it makes it a bit interesting on the roof there rather than just using roof pieces. So I wanted to have like curvy decor here at the top of each of these white bits. Unfortunately, I didn't really find anything that was useful enough. So I ended up using the big curves from the border set that comes with the game and just kind of overlap them, and I don't think it looks too bad. Until there's a curvy little piece I can put up there that's half a square big, then I'll use these ones. So with building Main Street buildings, I always do the front, so never do the whole building because they are just a facade. And then behind the building there will just be a grey roof with like a tin metal walls. The guests in the park would never see the back part of these buildings, and that is what happens in real life with Disney parks and actually any other theme parks. So just work your way along the main street if you're doing one, with building just the fronts of each building. And with the roofs, you just want to make sure that the roofs that the people would see are kind of finished from the front, and then behind you can just put in a dark grey wall or something, just so that the part that the people wouldn't see hasn't got so much detail going on. One thing this game does not have, and it's also not in a mod, is the spires that you get on corner buildings, especially at Disneyland. They have a lot of spires on the corner buildings. There are some spires in the brick wall set, but they are pointy and they have not got a flat top. So I've had to experiment by making my own by using some of the roof pieces from the Shy Guys 4 set. The Shy Guys 4 set is not available on the Parkitect Next website, I don't think, but you can get it from Custom Scenery Depot, which is a part of the Shy Guys world. If you're on Shy Guys World, I do post some previews of my parks, so you might get a little glimpse of what I've done with my Disney park before I post it on YouTube, if you want to go there and check it out. So here I'm just doing a filler building. These are really cool little fun one tile buildings that just you put in between buildings just to make it look like there's more buildings than there actually are. So this one is just a small little blue one, really simple, just adding in some little details, just making it look a bit different to the ones next to it. Always try and keep your buildings at a similar height to each other. If you do one, all my buildings here are around about 3 tiles high, 3 full height pieces high, and actually maybe 4 including the roof. If you try and keep them all at the similar height, they don't have to be exactly the same height, but a similar height, so then when you do the grey big roof on all of them, there's not this huge difference in height between some of them, because that I think you can see as a guest from the if you were going to be actually on the main street. So here I'm just doing another one tile filler building. This one's got more of like a medieval-esque look to it, but it fits really nicely in. I always like to use the pillars in different ways, in the different grid tiles. Obviously if you hold options and you can press one of the numbers to change the size of your grid in this game, which I think is such a cool thing to do. But yeah, I always like to bring some of the pillars out from the buildings. It's really good not to keep your buildings completely flat. It's good to bring stuff out of them, bring some pillars on the front and have the windows sunk back into the building a bit. It just gives some of your buildings a lot more dynamics. So here's the bright orange building I was talking about. This gets changed so much from what it is now. I actually discover I can do bay windows, and so I do some big bay windows on the front at the bottom, as well as like a bay doorway. But here's another thing I'm talking about, bringing stuff, pushing stuff back and forward within your buildings, and this is something I was doing with the windows. I wanted to bring those windows out of the building so they look like it just had a lot more depth. Thank you very much for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you're liking my Parkitect Disneyland so far, and drop me a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe and join me next time when I shall carry on with this main street in my Disneyland. Thanks for watching. See you next time.